My handbag containing my passport has vanished without a trace. Panic set in as I searched frantically, feeling the weight of my mother-in-law Susan's critical gaze upon me. Her expression was a mix of disapproval and sardonic amusement. "You brought this on yourself," she sneered, her voice dripping with mockery. "A careless wife like you deserves this. We're heading to the USA soon. Consider this your goodbye." Her laughter echoed in the room, amplifying my humiliation. In that moment, the harsh reality struck me. I had made a serious mistake by trusting Susan with my belongings. Her betrayal left me feeling utterly powerless. "My name is Deborah, and I'm 31 years old. I've been married to Gabriel for 2 years, and while we haven't started a family yet, we've built a comfortable life in a town near his parents. Even after our marriage, I've balanced my career with household duties, striving to maintain a sense of harmony. It's been 6 years since my father-in-law passed away, leaving Susan alone. Since then, she frequently visits our home, criticizing my housekeeping, which has become a constant source of stress. 'Why would you quit your job? It's not like it's crucial,' she'd say, inspecting the floors for dust. 'You can't manage both roles effectively, and your housekeeping skills are mediocre at best. Gabriel deserves better.' She'd sigh dramatically, gesturing at the dust. I admit I'm not the best at housework, but being chastised for not dusting felt unfair. I cleaned diligently every morning before work, managing our well-being and home. Yet it seems Susan relished belittling me, perhaps as a way to cope with her own stress. Every day felt like an uphill battle. Then, unexpectedly, Susan proposed a family trip, inviting us to join her and Gabriel's sister's family, Lori. Lori is as gentle as Gabriel, and I always enjoy our time together. However, the thought of traveling with Susan filled me with unease. I'd often confided in Gabriel about her hurtful remarks, so when I voiced my concerns about the trip, he offered a more optimistic perspective. "Mom wants to join us. Maybe she's trying to create positive memories with you. It could be a chance to bridge the gap and build a better relationship," he suggested with an encouraging smile. "You're right," I replied, trying to muster some enthusiasm. "It's our first trip together. Maybe we'll create wonderful memories and break down some barriers." I agreed, buoyed by Gabriel's optimism. Susan took charge of all the planning, from choosing the destination to mapping out the itinerary, leaving us to adjust our schedules to fit hers. "I wonder where Mom has in mind. Hopefully, it's not too pricey," Gabriel mentioned casually. She mentioned New Zealand in her email. I sighed, my apprehensions confirmed. Susan had chosen an extravagant international destination without considering our financial situation. "Well, we can't change it now. Mom picked it, so let's go along with her choice this time," Gabriel reasoned. Understanding his perspective, I managed to finance the trip from our savings. Gabriel, Lori's husband, and I synchronized our vacations, and soon we were set to depart. When we arrived in New Zealand, time flew as we immersed ourselves in the breathtaking landscapes and savored the delicious cuisine. Before we knew it, it was time to head back home. "It was such an amazing trip. I even got quite a tan," Susan exclaimed cheerfully, still enthusiastic even at the airport. "Yes, it was truly fantastic and enjoyable," I replied, trying to match her excitement. However, I couldn't shake a lingering sense of disappointment. "What's bothering you? You seem a bit down," Gabriel observed, noticing my expression. "Well, it's not a big deal," I began, preparing to share my mixed feelings about the trip. "Despite the success, I felt disappointed that I hadn't connected with your mom as much as I'd hoped. We hardly had any private moments to talk during the trip," I told him. He placed a comforting hand on my shoulder and reassured me with a smile. "Don't worry too much about it. We all had a great time together, and that's what counts." His reassurance helped, but a part of me wondered if I was overthinking things. As we navigated the busy airport, Susan suddenly announced, "It's quite crowded here. I need to use the restroom before we board." She turned to me, adding, "Deborah, could you hold my bags for me? Everyone leave your bags with her, and let's go together." She handed me her heavy luggage and quickly joined the others heading to the restroom. "I actually need to use the restroom too," Lori said, noticing my overwhelmed expression. "I'll take over once I'm back. Just wait here for me." Not long after they left, Susan returned alone. "That was quick," I remarked, surprised to see her. "It was empty," she replied, glancing around. "Now, where did you put my bags?" "They're right over there." I pointed to her luggage at my feet. "Why is my expensive bag on the floor?" she snapped. "I gave it to you so it wouldn't be set down." "How could you be so careless?" She picked it up, holding it protectively as if it were a prized possession. Meanwhile, I was still struggling to manage everyone else's bags. Enough. You're so thoughtless. Why don't you go to the restroom too? I'll graciously keep an eye on your bags. Just leave them on the floor. Your inexpensive bag will be fine, she stated with an air of arrogance. Thank you. I'll be quick, I replied, placing my bag on the ground before hurrying toward the restroom, only to find a long line waiting for me. When I finally entered, Lori emerged shortly after. What about the bags, Deborah? She asked anxiously. I left them with Gabriel's mom so I could use the restroom, but it's really crowded in there. This might take a while, I explained, feeling a bit uneasy despite Susan's earlier claim that the restroom was empty. After what felt like an eternity, I finally made my way back. Lori was waiting for me, clearly not wanting to risk getting lost as she often struggled with directions. Together, we headed back to where we had left Susan, who was standing there alone, with the men nowhere in sight. Thanks for keeping an eye on the bags, I said, scanning the area. Strangely, my bag was missing. I'm certain I left it right here, I said as I checked all the bags, but mine was the only one gone. My bags are gone. You were here the whole time, right? I asked Susan, my voice trembling with panic. Your bag? I don't know. Maybe it was never here, Susan responded coldly, sending a wave of despair through me. No, I know I left it here, right in front of you, I insisted, feeling betrayed. I didn't see anything. Don't blame me, Susan retorted dismissively. I placed it there because you asked me to. What should I do now? My passport was in that bag, I cried out, my distress mounting as my mind raced with panic. Susan sneered at me, her smile dripping with sarcasm. Maybe this is karma for how you treated my bag, tossing it on the floor. A lousy wife like you deserves to suffer the consequences and stay behind in the USA. I don't have time to deal with this. You're on your own. Or I'll leave without you, she declared coldly. Goodbye, she laughed mockingly, igniting a surge of anger within me at her callous words. But this wasn't just my problem. My bag contained everyone's passports. Without it, none of us could return to the USA. Susan's expression froze in disbelief. What? Why do you have everyone's passports? She grasped my arm, her voice rising in alarm. Lori, who had been listening intently, stepped in to clarify. We were worried about losing them with all the luggage, so Gabriel took charge of them. You might have forgotten because you were busy, Mom, Lori explained gently. Susan reacted sharply. Is that so? I must have been distracted and forgot, she admitted, her tone shifting as the gravity of the situation dawned on her. But why were the passports with you and not with Gabriel? That's odd. Gabriel had too much to carry, so I've been holding on to them since we left the hotel, I explained calmly, trying to diffuse the tension. Susan's frustration was palpable as she exclaimed, Why didn't you mention something so important? I had no idea your bag contained everyone's passports. I would have kept a closer watch if I had known. I found it hard to believe Susan's sudden concern. What do you mean you took your eyes off my bag? Even if you didn't know about the passports, was my bag stolen? I questioned, looking at Lori, who appeared pale and alarmed. Mom, please explain. Was Deborah's bag stolen? I have no idea if it was stolen. It was simply gone when I noticed, Susan retorted coldly, standing with her arms crossed, unapologetic. I can't believe this. It's so irresponsible, I said, frustration boiling inside me. Just then, Gabriel and the others returned, noticing our distressed expressions. What's wrong? Is everything okay? Gabriel asked, concern etched on his face. I quickly recounted the situation, and he sighed deeply, casting a disappointed glance at Susan. This is serious. We need to search for the bag immediately, he said. Gabriel and I exchanged a confirming glance. I left it right here. You specifically asked me to place it here. I gestured toward the corner where our luggage had been. It only took us about 12 minutes to return from the restroom. It must have been taken during that brief window. Where were you, Susan? I asked, noticing her arms still crossed defensively. I was right here the whole time, keeping an eye on the bags, Susan replied firmly. I wouldn't have wandered off, especially with everyone's important luggage, but your bag was on the edge and out of my direct line of sight. I'm only human. I can't be perfect, she added, turning away. Let's file a theft report and check the surveillance cameras. The thief might still be nearby. We should act fast, Gabriel suggested, starting to approach airport personnel. However, Susan grabbed his arm. Hold on a moment. Filing a theft report seems extreme. It would be more practical and faster to get the passports reissued, she argued. Gabriel shook off her grip, determined. No, we need to act now and cover all our bases. Let's not waste any more time. We decided to file a police report for the security of the passports, after which we could reissue them at the embassy. Reviewing the security footage might also help us recover the missing bag. Lori, agreeing with Gabriel's suggestion, chimed in. Absolutely, Gabriel. We need to act fast. Susan replied defensively, insisting it was all her fault and that she should be the one to find the thief on her own. She argued that police involvement was unnecessary, her temper flaring as she vehemently pressed her point. That's not fair, Mom. Deborah didn't cause this. It was your responsibility to watch the bags, not hers. Lori cut in, defending me. Exactly, she said, her voice firm. What I wanted to say to Susan was met with Gabriel's support as he placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. Deborah is already taking responsibility. Mom, why are you opposed to reporting the theft? Susan appeared uneasy. I've never dealt with the police before and I'm nervous about it. I think we should try to handle this ourselves, she explained. Fine, I'll help look too. Let's split up and see if we can find anything on our own, Susan suggested, trying to shift the focus back to locating the thief. Just then, a young man approached Susan. There you are. I've been looking for you, he exclaimed, handing her a bag. I found this and thought you might be in trouble for leaving it behind. I'm relieved I found you. Your trip could have been ruined. Stunned, I took the bag from him. Where did you find it? I asked. In the lounge, on a table. I tried to get her attention, but she didn't hear me and walked off into the crowd, he explained. We thanked him profusely before turning to Susan, who was visibly shaken. Mom, what's going on? Why was Deborah's bag left in the lounge? Gabriel asked, his voice trembling with frustration. You left Deborah's bag there on purpose, didn't you? And you hadn't been watching any of our luggage either, have you? The weight of her oversight and its implications hung heavily in the air. It's unbelievable that you would treat Deborah this way, deliberately leaving her bag in a distant lounge to avoid security cameras. You knew they would reveal what happened, Lori said, her gaze locked on Susan with unmistakable disdain. I quickly checked the bag's contents. Passports, wallets, and mobile phones were all safe. We were incredibly fortunate that such a considerate person had found it. Relieved yet seething with anger, I confronted Susan. How could you do this? Susan, why would you behave like this? My frustration was clear and palpable. Unrepentant, Susan shrugged. I threw your precious bag on the floor because I was upset. I'm not the villain here. Who would have guessed that this shabby bag held everyone's passports? It was just a moment of frustration in the lounge. I didn't leave your luggage unattended, so don't misinterpret my actions, she defended herself. That's enough, Gabriel interjected loudly. Susan, think about how you've been treating Deborah since we got married. I kept hoping you'd change, but I was wrong. I failed to understand the pain you were causing her, Gabriel said sincerely, his apology bringing tears to my eyes. He turned to Susan with resolve. Mom, deliberately mishandling someone else's property is akin to theft, whether you realize it or not. Reviewing the surveillance footage will clarify what happened. Susan looked stunned by Gabriel's words. Wait, Gabriel, you're not seriously considering involving the police, are you? We're family, and Deborah is your wife, even if it's only by marriage. There's no crime in a mother taking her daughter-in-law's bag, she pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. Gabriel's expression hardened. That reasoning is absurd, Mom. Your first step should be to apologize to Deborah, not to avoid responsibility by using our bond as an excuse. It's embarrassing for a mother. We won't report this to the police, but this incident has made it clear that we need serious changes in how we handle our family dynamics. He took my hand, a sign of solidarity. We're severing ties with you. Don't show your face to Deborah or me again. We'll be taking a different flight home. Please, Gabriel, hold on. This is too sudden. I can't accept this. Just give me a chance to apologize and make amends. I'm begging you, Susan pleaded, her voice tinged with remorse. She clung to Gabriel's feet, trying to stop him from walking away. This is disgraceful. Please stop, Lori interjected, her voice breaking as she pulled Susan away, tears streaming down her face. Together with her husband, they escorted Susan away, leaving Gabriel and me alone. Are you sure about this, Gabriel? Cutting ties with your mom? I asked, concern filling my voice. It's necessary. You're the most important person in my life. I should have protected you better, he replied, embracing me warmly. We managed to book a different flight home, returning to our normal lives without Susan's shadow hanging over us. Lori also decided to distance herself from their mother. We moved far away from Gabriel's family home, completely severing ties with Susan. 8 months after our trip to New Zealand, I discovered I was pregnant. Susan would never know or meet this child. In our peaceful new town, free from her influence, we looked forward to our future. My only wish was for Gabriel, our baby, and me to live happily together, free from the turmoil of the past.